a woman walked through the darkness, her hands bleeding from the thorn she carried. Her mission, to wound the feet of the Prophet Muhammad. But what she didn't know was that Allah was watching. This is Jamil, sister of Abu Sufyan, wife of Abu Lahab, the woman who dared to curse the messenger of God. And tonight, you will witness her terrible fate, a fate so dark, the Qur'an itself speaks of her punishment. But first, you must understand how a woman's hatred led to divine wrath. Mecca, 610 CE, the city of merchants and idols, where the powerful Quraysh tribe ruled with iron fists. In the shadow of the sacred Kaaba lived the most influential families of Arabia. Among them, Abu Lahab ibn Abdul Muttalib, uncle to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, rich, powerful, respected, but his heart was filled with something darker than the desert night. And beside him stood his wife, Arwa bint Harb, known to history as Jamil, sister to Abu Sufyan, the merchant prince, daughter of noble blood, beautiful, wealthy, influential among the women of Mecca. But beauty can hide the ugliest of souls. When Muhammad first received his revelation, when Gabriel descended with the words of Allah, the message was clear: there is no God but Allah. This shook the foundations of Meccan society. Their gods, their idols, their entire way of life under threat. Abu Lahab's reaction was immediate. Violent. "May you perish, Muhammad," he shouted in the marketplace. But it was Jamil who took hatred to a level that shocked even the pagans of Mecca. She began spreading poison, lies, slander. "He's possessed by demons," she would whisper. "He's dividing our families," she would cry. "He's a madman who speaks to invisible beings." But words were not enough for Jamil. She wanted blood. Every morning, before dawn, when the streets of Mecca were empty, a shadowy figure would creep through the darkness. Jamil would gather the sharpest thorns, the most painful branches, and she would scatter them on the path where the Prophet walked to prayer. Her goal was simple, wicked, calculated: to pierce his feet, to make him bleed, to cause him pain with every step toward Allah. But what Jamil didn't realize was that every thorn she placed, every drop of malice in her heart, was being recorded by the one who sees all. And Allah was preparing a response that would echo through eternity. The persecution intensified. Jamil was no longer content with thorns. She began organizing the women of Mecca against the Prophet's followers. "Drive them out," she commanded. "Make their lives unbearable. Show them the price of following this pretender." She would stand in the marketplace, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Muhammad has bewitched our sons," she would scream. "He's turned brother against brother. He's destroyed the harmony of our tribe." But her cruelest weapon was her tongue. She composed poems, verses of mockery, songs of ridicule. She would recite them in the gathering places of women, making a mockery of the Qur'an's beautiful verses. "If Muhammad can claim divine revelation," she would laugh, "then I too can speak for the gods." Her husband Abu Lahab grew bolder with her support. Together they became the most vicious opponents of Islam in all of Mecca. They would follow the Prophet through the streets, throwing stones, hurling insults, spreading filth in his path. When Muslim families tried to meet in secret, Jamil would discover their locations. She would arrive with crowds of hostile women, disrupting their prayers, attacking their children, driving them from their homes. But there was one incident that crossed every line. One dark night, when the crescent moon was hidden by clouds, Jamil crept to the Prophet's door. She carried with her a rope, not just any rope, a rope woven with thorns, designed to strangle and tear flesh simultaneously. Her plan was assassination, to hang this rope across the path where the Prophet walked to the night prayer. In the darkness, he would walk into it. The thorns would cut his throat, the rope would strangle him, and Islam would die with its messenger. But as she worked in the shadows, tying her trap of death, something was watching her. Something that would soon reveal the true meaning of divine justice. That night, as Jamil set her deadly trap, the heavens opened, not with rain, not with storm, with revelation. In a cave outside Mecca, the Prophet Muhammad received words that would be preserved forever in the Holy Qur'an. Surah Al-Masad, chapter 111. Perish the hands of Abu Lahab, and perish he himself. His wealth and what he earned will not avail him. He will burn in a flaming fire. And then, the verse that sealed Jamil's fate forever. And his wife, the carrier of firewood. Around her neck will be a rope of palm fiber, the carrier of firewood. Hamalat al-Hatab, in Arabic poetry. This phrase had a double meaning. Literally, one who carries wood to fuel fires. Metaphorically, one who spreads gossip, carries tales, fuels the fires of hatred between people. Jamil was both. She carried actual thorns and wood to harm the Prophet. And she carried lies and slander to fuel hatred against Islam. But the most terrifying part of the revelation was the rope around her neck. The same night she plotted with her thorny noose, Allah revealed that she would wear a rope in the afterlife. A rope of palm fiber, rough, burning, eternal. When news of this revelation spread through Mecca, Jamil's reaction was explosive. She stormed through the streets, her face twisted with rage. "Where is Muhammad?" she screamed. "Let him say these words to my face." She found the Prophet sitting calmly near the Kaaba, speaking quietly with his companion, Abu Bakr. She approached with a large stone in her hand. "Muhammad!" she shrieked. But something extraordinary happened. Visual, woman approaching, then stopping suddenly, confused. She looked directly at the Prophet, but she could not see him. Her eyes seemed to pass right through him, as if he were invisible. "Abu Bakr," she said to his companion, "where is your friend? I have heard he has insulted me in his poetry." Abu Bakr, amazed at this miracle, replied, "By Allah, he is not a poet, and he has not said any poetry." She left, muttering curses, still unable to see the man sitting right before her. Allah had blinded her eyes to the Prophet's presence, a sign of the divine protection surrounding his messenger. But this was only the beginning of Jamil's punishment. The real justice was yet to come, and it would be more terrible than she could ever imagine. The curse of Allah began to manifest immediately. Jamil's life, which had been filled with luxury and respect, started crumbling like sand in a storm. Her influence among the women of Mecca vanished. The very people who had listened to her poison now whispered that she was cursed by the God of Muhammad. Her beauty, which had been her pride, began to fade unnaturally fast. Her skin grew rough like palm fiber. Her voice became hoarse from screaming curses, but the most disturbing change was around her neck. People began to see marks, as if invisible ropes were already tightening around her throat. She would wake at night, gasping for air, clawing at her neck as if something were choking her. "The rope!" she would scream in her sleep. "Remove the rope!" Her husband, Abu Lahab, also mentioned in the same chapter, began to suffer similarly. His wealth, which the Qur'an said would not avail him, started disappearing mysteriously. Caravans lost, investments failed, treasures stolen. And then, the final act of divine justice. Both Abu Lahab and Jamil died before witnessing the triumph of Islam. They never saw the conquest of Mecca. They never saw the Kaaba cleansed of idols. They never saw Islam spread across the Arabian Peninsula. According to Islamic tradition, they died as the Qur'an had foretold. Abu Lahab burned with fever, consuming him like fire. Jamil choked as if strangled by an invisible rope. And so ended the story of the woman who dared to curse the Prophet. The woman who carried thorns became the woman who carried fire. The woman who plotted with ropes died bound by divine decree. Today, Millions of Muslims recite Surah Al-Masad, remembering the fate of those who opposed Allah's messenger. The woman who once spread hatred is now remembered only as a warning, her name preserved forever, not in glory, but as a testament to divine justice. What do you think of Jamil's fate? Was divine justice served? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story of divine retribution moved you,